Hey, afternoon and welcome to Bush Kiddz. We're out on another walk today, just getting our daily exercise, and thought I'd just do a quick video just to reiterate a few things around knife safety and knife use with children. Okay, so the basis of this little video will be around 3 words to do with knife use and safety. First one is respect, second one is protect, and the third one is neglect. So let me tell you what I mean by that. Okay, so the first one, respect. Well, the first thing around respect is to respect the law. And we do have a video around knife law on our Fabulous 40. We've got a challenge around it with the kids making a poster. So I would really encourage you to go and have a look at that, because we cover it in much more detail. But respecting the law means actually that you cannot have a knife on you really in public that is bigger than 3 inches or 7.62 centimeters that is lockable. And the only place you can have a knife that is anything but that is on your own private land or land that you have permission to have the knife on. So it's very important to respect the law and respect the basis of being really careful of only having a knife on you that is legally able to be carried. Second part about respect is respecting those around you, and no matter whether you're carrying a knife that's legal carry or not, shouldn't have a knife around people that are not comfortable for you to have the knife around. Definitely shouldn't be carrying it around. A child shouldn't be carrying a knife at all, really, should be supervised. And obviously not taking a knife either concealed or in a bag or on their person into public places, and particularly things like schools. So second part about respect is just respecting the people around you and their feelings about you having a knife on your person. Okay, the third part about respect is respect for the tool, respect for the saw or for the knife actually, and knowing that this is absolutely a tool that is very, very useful to us all in bushcraft and outdoor pursuits, but it's also, on the other hand, a sharp, dangerous weapon if used incorrectly. So you need to be respectful of that, and to support the children, and for the children to support themselves in being respectful of the tool. That is, every time it's taken out, they really, really concentrate on its use and focus on the tool and its use, and never lose respect for the fact that it's a sharp tool. And even the best bushcraft instructors out there, I've seen the tool bite them from time to time with a little lack of concentration or not using it in the right way. So respect the tool, definitely. Okay, so on to protect. And the first part about protect is really about protecting you, the user, the child and the parent. And the first thing to think about in that is making sure that you have a knife that is able to protect you or give you the best protection in its use. So if we're just working on the basis of the knife law, then that would really only leave us with a kind of pen knife, a Swiss Army knife type knife to carry, and by default that is not particularly big, below 3 inches, 7.62 centimeters, and it wouldn't be lockable. So we'd need to be very, very careful in using a Swiss Army knife that we're forcing the use in one direction and watching that it doesn't flick back on the user, and because it doesn't lock. So whilst the Swiss Army knife is a fantastic tool to have, if you are actually doing things with a young child, preferably on private land, in your own land, it's probably better to have a fixed blade knife. And there's lots of them out there that are built by Mora or Huglifors that are rounded at the end, so they're not big spike of the knife at the end, and they've got a kind of guard on the handle, so it prevents the children from moving onto the knife edge when they're holding it. And so it's always worth looking at those kind of knives and giving you the best chance of protecting yourself in its use. Okay, the second part about protect is protecting yourself when you're using it, basically, and that comes in a number of things. So first and foremost, it's about having the right grip when using it and holding it really securely. And probably the best grip to have is a forward grip, like a fist grip that holds the knife very securely. And then there's no chance of movement or slippage. Second grip is a reinforced grip, so the same as the fist grip, but moving the thumb out on the top of the blade to control the blade a little bit more when you're doing some closer whittling, or if you're cutting in a certain direction. Next thing in terms of use and protecting yourself is also to make sure at all times you are cutting away from yourself. That is, removing any hands, digits, legs, any part of the body, and cutting away from yourself. And that's really important to help the child, your child, understand that, in terms of having the right grip, but at all times cutting away from the body. One really important thing when cutting it away from the body is the stance, or the seating position, or the kneeling position. And the most important thing is obviously to cut away from the body, but to recognise that actually probably one of the most important and sensitive areas of the body is a kind of danger triangle around the pelvis and down to the knees and inside the legs. That's because there's a number of arteries there and vessels that are not good to puncture, let's put it that way. So when we're taking a stance, always try and keep the legs together. Or if you're sitting down, always try and keep the legs together, the knees together. Or obviously if you're kneeling down, then naturally the knees will be together, and that just stops any risk at all of the knife going in that triangle area around the pelvis and inside legs down to the knees. So either stand up, keep the knees together, kneeling down, keeping the knees together, or if you're sitting down, make sure the knees are together, and again cutting to either side of the knees away from the body. Also, when we're talking about knife use, we've got to be really clear that we don't want children moving around when they've got a knife in their hands. Trying to be stationary in a safe position is really important, and therefore all knives should be put away before any walking is done. The other thing is, if the knife is to be passed to anyone, then to really give the child a very clear understanding of what's the safest way to do that. And that is, there's a very specific way to do that, which is about resting the back of the knife in the gap between your thumb and index finger, having the knife point away from the person that you're giving it to and the handle first. And that is really to be very clear when you're passing it to somebody, whilst not walking, running, stationary, that they can see the blade, the sharp side of the blade, and what's coming towards them, is just the handle as you move the arm forward, and not the big sharpy spiky point of the knife. Another thing around Protect is protecting those around you, and it's common to call the area around you within your reach of the knife, up and down and round the sides, an arm's reach with the knife in hand. You hear that called the blood bubble, and it's called the blood bubble because if everybody was in that bubble, your bubble, and you accidentally slipped or moved away when you're cutting away from the body with the knife at its extended position, then there might be some blood that comes from that. So it's really, really important to get people to understand this, have some spatial awareness around them, and if you've got the knife in its sheath or just a piece of branch as big as a knife, just to highlight the space, have them moving around with their arms just to make sure that nobody's in their way, up and down as well. Just make sure that any accidental movement away from the body doesn't catch anything or catch somebody. The next thing was neglect, and the first thing about neglect I want to talk about is the neglect of the tool. And there is a saying that a blunt tool is a dangerous tool, and it is really something to think about. A blunt knife takes a lot of effort to cut through things, and whilst you're making that effort, whilst the child's making that effort, there's more of a chance of the slip or slipping away or any kind of accident because it's just not cutting correctly. So we shouldn't neglect the tools. The tools should be looked after all the time, and that is just put back into the sheath every time they're not being used, wipe down gently and carefully if there's any water on them to stop them rusting, and making sure that they're sharp. And we'll do something around sharpening of knives and the way to sharpen knives in another series. So the other part of neglect is neglect to focus and to concentrate. It's really important that when you're using any kind of sharps, knife, saw, that you're 100% focused on the job at hand. And remember all the things that we've been talking about in terms of respect, protect and neglect. So at any point there's a lack of concentration, or you can see the focus is elsewhere, that's the time to make sure the knives and the sharps are put away. So there you go, quick update. We have got another video around knife safety where Chris is giving some instruction around its use, but I thought go a little bit deeper and talk about those three aspects of respect, protect and neglect. So not really a challenge, but if any of the children are watching this and want to have it count towards their ranger status, then again maybe just get them to reiterate to you what they've heard, what their take on it is, what the most important points of this is, and maybe write them down or do a poster or do a drawing of some sort to just confirm the learning. But there you go, respect, protect and neglect. Hope you enjoyed the video, stay safe and see you all soon.